Get over here.
Scorpion.
Alright, so today we're veering a little off topic, but... right? I know. Well, because everyone's talking about it.
We still like nerdy things.
Because it is sort of the foundation for all this stuff, if you really think about it. So, Star Wars The Last Jedi came out, and I gotta say...
Boo!
Terrible.
Worst movie.
We got they were saying this during the movie.
We were booing in the movie
yelling.
theater.
I hate porgs.
Yeah, I hate porgs. But, man, I gotta say, it surprised me. I'll say that. I went in being like, man, I really hope it's good. If any one of them is gonna be good, it's gonna be this one. And I really liked it. I really, really liked it. I like how it took the whole Star Wars formula and kind of like turned it upside down. And like all of the popular like fan guesses going into this movie were just like totally ditched and thrown off course.
Well, maybe.
Like I don't know. I feel like that like with Snoke. Well, we're getting into spoilers here. Snoke, obviously.
Spoiler alert if you haven't watched it.
I feel like it was just all about subverting expectations. I did not see a lot of this stuff coming from what I expected. What they did with Luke, what Leia's trajectory for the rest of the series is. That totally threw me off.
That really did throw me off.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I thought she was going to die in the movie.
Yeah.
I did too.
So like,
and that scene where she gets like sucked out into space, I was like,
I thought she was dead right there.
I was like brutal. I was like, damn, you're doing that to her, and I was like, and then like all of a sudden you're like, all right, she's the Neo of Star Wars. So like,
pretty sure Luke's the Neo of Star Wars.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't
Maybe
see
it's
Luke
Rey.
having these powers like that.
Mind
Yeah.
blown.
Oh my god.
So, you know,
Gotta
while
be
we're
confirmed.
talking about things that
This is like a little quick
subverted-
take. A little quick take.
I mean, okay, so
What do you think? Like little feelings.
I thought it was
Yeah.
very, very good. And I think it was maybe my favorite Star Wars movie since the original trilogy. Maybe I even like it more than Return of the Jedi.
I thought it was better.
I don't know if I put it ahead of A New Hope or Empire Strikes Back, but it was definitely up there. It was just as good as some of the stuff in the original trilogy. And, you know, I enjoyed The Force Awakens. But I wasn't really blown over by it. It was just kind of like comfort food Star Wars. Like it was a little bit.
That one they had
numbers.
to bring everybody back.
And I get that. I get
board,
that. It
you
sets
know.
the stage. It doesn't take a whole lot of risks. It's good. It's not exceptional.
It was the ultimate Star
Last
Wars
Jedi
remix.
was exceptionally good.
And like I felt like detracted so much from the Star Wars formula. It was unusual. Anyway, so Harrison.
well,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it, and I like the humor, and I like the animals, and if you check out any of my art, I'm very obsessed with like cute, weird animal things, and
It's
I thought
funny.
that they did a great
Harrison
job.
is
it
going
was-
to do so much copyright infringement in the next 6 months.
Look out,
it was-
Lucasfilm!
It was
Here
sad.
I come.
It was sad that the things that you liked about it were pretty like divisive. Like some people were like, "Oh, I didn't like the humor and the animals." Like my brother turned around, hey Clay, and was like, "Was that like a PETA commercial?" And I was like, "They were cute animals."
No, I know.
like,
and I can see
like
why people wouldn't like that or whatever.
Yeah.
But I thought it was fun, and I
I thought that
enjoyed
was a
it.
great moment of brevity. So
Yeah.
the scene that you're talking about, I guess, is probably when Chewbacca is eating around
Yeah.
a campfire, and
Well,
that one porg
but
looks at him.
any of the Porg and the Chewbacca scenes, because I liked at the end, like that one scene where the like Chewbacca's like, and then like the little Porg's like, and like they're just imitating one another, and I thought that was really cute and fun.
when they're
and,
flying on the Millennium Falcon on the final
Yeah,
planet,
yeah.
that scene was so cool and like such a throwback to A New Hope. But I loved it feels like Jar Jar Binks was like, "Oops, what do we do?" But the Porg shit worked because it was the appropriate amount in the movie, and it was done like the timing.
It was
on
silly
very
enough,
well
but
done,
it wasn't like in my opinion, I just felt like it wasn't over the top.
and it never broke the tone of the movie.
Right. Like it stayed everything in that movie, even though like I feel like they did so many things with animals and creatures and environments that like they were taking it to the next level, but it still felt like Star Wars, where in some of the prequels I felt like they were really trying to make these crazy environments and things are so bright and blah blah blah. But it didn't feel like Star Wars sometimes. It just felt like a generic space movie in my opinion, but like I thought this really felt like a Star Wars movie where they created these things that you could understand exist in these environments, and I thought it was really cool. Like I liked all the racing, weird fox thing that they had. There was like the big beast that would race around the racetrack in the casino area. I
thought that was
tortured animals.
Exactly.
I thought that was a great set piece
because it was there were so many different
things.
Like I feel like you got this sense of I care about these things like the porgs because you're like you see Chewbacca like cooking one and then one's all sad and you see these like racing animals.
And Chewbacca's like, I'm sorry.
He's like, well, should I eat it? I can't eat it now.
It's too late now.
But like I like again with the racing animals, whatever they may be, like I like that you cared about them because you're like, oh no, like they're in trouble.
It's funny that y'all bring that whole part up because that was one of the most controversial portions of the movie was when Finn and Rose left to go to that planet to find the code breaker, and essentially they come back empty-handed. It doesn't add to the plot, which I disagree with for a few reasons. Especially the biggest part for me is that she shows the kids who are obviously tortured the rebellion ring. And that ties back up to the final scene of the movie where, like, you have the remaining people in the Resistance who just fit on the Millennium Falcon. That whole movie, they're just getting exterminated, like, whittled down to a nub. But then at the end, you see that, even though it looks really dire, look, check this out. You got this new generation coming up to be the new rebellion.
I think that's an extremely valid point.
Yeah.
And I think the criticism is a little bit around that it doesn't develop the characters very much, even though I would argue it does develop Rose quite a lot.
Yeah. And Finn, to an extent, he's about to leave, and his final like big scene in the movie was where he's flying towards the beam that's going to break the
suicide mission.
The suicide mission, and Rose saves it at the end. He's ready to give his life for the rebellion. When at the beginning...
That scene does not work without the whole part with them on the casino planet.
Exactly, yeah. And Finn has an arc. He goes from, I don't know if I'm down for this, to, like, I'll sacrifice myself for it. So I'll defend that portion.
I think it's very defensible. Yeah. But more than that, I think it builds the world a little bit, and it does something very important, which anchors that end of movie scene with the young kid from that planet demonstrating that he can use the Force too. Mm-hmm. So it sort of builds the world a little bit. It offers up a big paradigm shift that gets away from the Skywalker clan as the end-all, be-all of this story, and it sort of puts the power in these other hands that up to this point they haven't really done.
It was a huge pivot for the franchise, I think. It was the first time where it's like the Skywalker story can't go on forever. Like there's got to be like a new branching path. Like could that be where they're going? Because like it's really tricky with what they're going to do with Leia. Yeah. Because in the next they set her up to have a big story in the third movie.
I think they said that they had everything that they needed from her, but I'm not sure if that's just including this movie.
I don't think they filmed the third one.
I don't think they did.
So
that's why when they kind of said that, I was like, oh, well, she's going to die in this movie.
That's why everyone expected her to die.
Yeah. So, but
it's going to be tricky to CG her and get the voice right. Like, I feel like, are they just going to have, like, the opening to episode 9, like, having her just die quickly? Like,
hopefully not.
I hope not, but I feel like the decision with what to do with Leia is a huge undertaking for episode 9.
I feel that more than anything else, one of the things I've enjoyed so much about 7 and 8 has been that it feels overwhelmingly like we're in good hands creatively.
Oh, for sure.
Like it feels like this is, it's in the hands of some, a large group of people that really understand and get Star Wars and respect the franchise and are willing to take some risks.
I was nervous, like, with them, like, choosing different directors and things like that, but I think that so far it's just been, like, awesome. You've done, like, well done. Congratulations.
Yeah, Rian Johnson, though, he's gotten a lot of pushback. Like, a lot of the fan base have, like, been very upset, especially with what they did to Luke. And people just said that it didn't feel like Star Wars. I had a close family member say it was too feminist, which was like, I was like, all right, this movie probably does have the most female characters who have a major role. and some of them do have power, but like I didn't buy it like that. And then another cool part I thought storytelling wise was Poe Dameron and the Holdo narrative. I loved how they flipped you on that, because the whole time you're like, yeah, Poe, you know what's up. But like really, she was doing the right thing the whole time, and like wasn't listening to.
You're talking about Laura Dern's character.
Laura Dern's character, Holdo, yeah. And I felt like I was like, am I supposed to hate her? But it turns out like, at the end she makes like the ultimate sacrifice, and like I really like what they did with that. But that scene is getting a lot of complaint because
that's weird to me. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that
because they've like Poe is like, I don't know if it's about them breaking his character a little bit. Because he's still gung ho afterwards.
Yeah, I still feel the same way about Poe, and I think that was a good way to kind of trick the audience into being like, "No, you're stupid," and then it's like,
well, Poe was dumb the whole time.
I mean her, like you're frustrated with her, and then like in the end you're like, oh, she did have everybody's good intentions in the end, and that's like, I don't know. There were so many moments
I thought that was a
movie.
real big fist pump moment when Poe sort of confirms that she's been on their side the entire time, and then she has that last stand where she goes to warp speed and goes through the fucking Star Destroyer. And it's one of the most visually amazing.
That was
scenes
amazing.
In the movie.
That was amazing.
You were in the movie theater with me, and you could hear people's brains break. While watching that scene, because there was like initial when they went light speed through the ship, you heard someone go whoa, and then a second or two after, someone was like oh,
because that scene was silent for about 20 seconds.
Yeah, it was
the audio in the movie goes silent. And the theater goes collectively. And it sounds like whoa.
It was just great hearing different levels of people's brains melting. That's what because like someone behind me was like, it's still going on, and I was like, yeah, shut up, like just enjoy it. But
there was like a group of people like laughing at the movie the whole time behind me a few rows back, and I was like, ugh. But I was like, I loved the movie, and I was immersed the whole time. Like my eyes were watering, and my face hurt from grinning. I knew that I liked the movie, because I was like, usually that stuff bugs me in a movie theater. But another controversy with which another family member brought up was that they ruined Luke's character, and they're like, oh, he's weak. He does have but he was
always complaining and stuff in the earlier.
Well, not until but then he becomes a broken man from the events that happen with Kylo and the Jedi Temple and his
I don't get why this is so controversial, because basically he kind of does what Yoda does. He extricates himself after this huge sort of schism he has, this crisis of faith. He goes and alienates himself, and he has to be reluctantly pulled out of the shell to eventually sort of find this new leaf.
I also
and he ends up saving everything.
And he does something incredibly badass.
The most bad. But people are like, he's weak, and I was like, oh my god, people like.
It's one of the coolest things he could have done.
That was the climax of the movie when like Luke would face Kylo.
I like
that to me was like the blah moment.
The back and forth of like the memories of Kylo and Luke, and how like Kylo was evil, but then you saw Kylo's
flipping the script.
Kylo's version, and then you see this evil Luke that's like maniacal, and you're like, well, maybe.
I like that they made it gray.
This is why the movie is so well written. Like I loved how they messed with the audience the whole time. Like I love that stuff in movies, and it's different for Star Wars, that kind of style of storytelling. But I think it really worked, and like a lot of the attacks on the movie that are very popular, like just wear thin for me. I don't know, like so a lot. It's been divisive. A lot of our friends have not liked it, and my brother was disappointed, and I was ecstatic about it. Like even like my brother was being negative about it, even though, and I was still like, oh yeah, I loved it. Whatever. Yeah.
But I mean, because I will say that after I watched it, I really liked the movie, but I kind of did go back and forth for like 3 days. But overall, I really did like the movie, and I think it's just I need to watch the movie again. I think I've watched the Star Wars movies so many times.
You will see this one multiple times.
I know I'm going to watch it multiple times.
Yeah.
So we've only seen it once.
Exactly. The first impression.
I've only seen it once, and I really liked it, but I could definitely go back and see it, and I want to see it again in theaters. So
yeah. And like I think that this whole idea about like handing Star Wars off to the next phase is kind of emblematic of the movie, like how it kind of moves on, and how like it's kind of like Luke does die. I'm sure he'll come back as a ghost in the 9th one and maybe further on, but.
And I love Puppet Yoda. I was so
that
glad
was a cool
they brought back
yeah.
Puppet Yoda. That made me so happy. I was like, oh yay.
Yeah, but
they could have CG'd an incredible fucking Yoda.
Oh yeah,
that was a good decision.
And I thought that was a great decision.
Yeah, that was good.
Because I remember like kind of the back and forth they had with Yoda on the prequels, and I was like,
right.
Stick to something.
One other thing about the design of that movie I want to talk about is the pacing of it and the dread and how it's this constant just like getting worse and like wearing thinner and thinner and thinner and like it's really the Force Awakens is really fun and this one's like we're
doing the thing again, guys.
Yeah
the band's back together.
Yeah, but this one's more just like dreadful feeling and like the first sense like Empire, I want to say it's most similar to that. So
I feel like they break you down a lot to give you a lot of gain, but they do it a good amount in that movie because there's definitely times where you're like, oh well, that's it for that person, and then something happens and they come back, like with Kylo and that fight in Snoke's like lair.
That scene was
amazing.
That was badass.
And then
and some people are like, there wasn't action in this one.
What?
Someone told me that there wasn't even a lightsaber battle, and I was like, ugh.
There was a huge lightsaber battle.
And I was just like, some people just like did not like it, and it shocks me when Clay told me he was disappointed. I was like, oh my god.
Why did Clay dislike it actually? Did you say that?
Yeah, I mean, like, I want him to speak for himself. Hey, Clay. But
Clay, come
of course,
on our show.
yeah. But I think he said that it was kind of like the same thing over and over again, which I couldn't really agree with, disagree with.
I kind of get what he might be saying. Again, I don't know if this is exactly what he meant.
And I don't think he liked the humor, and he didn't like the animal stuff, and he mentioned that, I don't know, it was probably a little too emotional for him. I don't know.
The Force Awakens was basically sort of and I say this having liked the movie, but The Force Awakens was kind of a paint-by-numbers retread of the major plot beats of A New Hope.
Yeah.
More or less. Han Solo fills in for Ben Kenobi and the major death in the
Get
third
the band
act.
back together. Exactly.
It gets the band back together.
Yeah.
It resets the pieces, gets everyone back to starting position. And The Last Jedi starts off by following a lot of the same beats of Empire Strikes Back. Mm-hmm. So I think, you do kind of get lulled you kind of lulled into this sort of idea that it's going to follow the beats of Empire Strikes Back. It's going to end on the down note. You kind of know the emotional wave to ride on that. But halfway through the movie, I think after that casino scene, like it starts to kind of go off in its own trajectory.
And you don't know what to expect.
Exactly. Yeah. It's well made and has sort of the heavy gravitas feeling that Empire had, but it ends in a completely different place. And I think that's an exciting place for it to be going into Episode 9.
I felt like the energy was there the whole time. It was the longest Star Wars. It was like 2.5 hours long. Yeah, and I was like just into it the entire time. And like the final set piece on the final planet where it's kind of the Battle of Hoth remix with shitty vehicles this time was really cool. Yeah. And when when Luke showed up and Kylo's going crazy about like kill him, but they eviscerate this and then when it turns out which fooled me,
it's projection.
I was fooled that he was a projection. I know that too. Yeah, and I was like, oh my god! And when I saw that, I was like, that is so cool. And it shows him, sorry Barrett, on the it's like levitating or whatever, projecting himself back on the island. Like I was just like, oh my god, that is so cool. Like I was just thrilled by it. Man, so I gotta say, I know it sounds like I'm fanboying out and all that shit, but this is rare for me. I did this is probably my favorite science fiction film of the decade, as far as I can think of.
That's a big statement.
It is. As far as epic action, it's better than Valerian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hot take, Thomas.
I don't know. It just thrilled me. I really like Prometheus. I like Force Awakens.
Blade Runner 2049.
I mean, that's the
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll do a video on that in 2049. All right, so that was Star Wars, y'all.
Merry Christmas.
Last Jedi, loved it.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
All right.
It's good.
Peace, y'all.
See ya.
Later.